David Tafuri is a former State Department official. He advised the Obama campaign on foreign policy, and he joins us tonight. David, thank you. I'm glad you're here because we've had many conversations about Russia over the past year, you and I, and you've expressed outrage at the collusion between the Trump people and Russia. Now that we know that the Hillary campaign colluded with Russia, took information from Russia to affect the outcome of the campaign, are you as outraged?
First of all, I never expressed outrage that there was collusion. I expressed outrage that Russia interfered in our election, which all of our intelligence agencies agree to, and I said that needs to be investigated. And if there is collusion, that's a very serious crime by the Trump campaign.
So we know that the Russians gave information through a couple of cutouts to the Hillary campaign and the Democratic National Committee to influence the election. So how is that different from what you just said?
That's not what happened.
Oh, how is that not what happened?
The news that we learned this week is that Hillary Clinton funded Fusion GPS. But we already knew that a Democratic ally had funded it. That came out in October 2016. If you look at the Mother Jones article, which first published these allegations, it was clear then that a Democratic ally had funded this. So we just now know which ally, and it was the Hillary Clinton campaign.
But what you're doing is tracing the genesis of the story. I'm asking you a factual question about what happened. Russia gave information to Steele, the former head of the Russia desk at MI6, who gave it to Fusion GPS, and then it flowed to the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC to influence the outcome of the election. So information from Russia was used to influence the outcome using Hillary as a conduit. And I'm just wondering, where's your outrage about that?
That's not accurate.
Well, how is that inaccurate exactly?
Steele was hired to do opposition research, and as part of the opposition research, he talked to lots of people, not just Russians. He talked to people in Europe. He talked to people in the U.S.
I'm certain
he found sources, which is what good intelligence agents do.
So
some of his sources were Russian. No, some of his sources were sources.
Okay, but I didn't say every. No, but I didn't say every source was Russian. I'm merely saying what we know from the public record and what the committee is in the process of learning is that information from the Russians, and that would be people associated with the Kremlin, the Russian government, found its way to the Clinton campaign. They paid for that information, and it was designed to influence the outcome of the election. So look, I'm just holding you to the standard that you set when you said this is undermining American democracy. This is hacking of an election. Why is it not the case here?
Everyone should read the Steele Dossier, and you will see there were many sources in the Steele Dossier.
But that was one of them.
Not just Russians.
Yes, some Russians. I'm not saying that it was the only one.
But also people like Carter Page, who worked for Trump, was a source.
I got it.
His lawyer Cohen was a source.
You're obscuring the point, and I think our viewers know that you're obscuring the point, and I think that you know that you're obscuring the point. Look, if it's wrong for one side to do it, it is wrong for any side to do it. You have evidence here that it happened on the Democratic side. There is no evidence that the Republican side did it. If there is, I will denounce it along with you.
You're equating two things that are not equal. It is not wrong for opposition research to be conducted and for some of the sources to be Russian.
To be the Russian government.
So it's not, you don't have a problem with that. If the suspicion is that Trump engaged in collusion with the Russians. Now, let's remember one important thing.
Wait a second. Tell me, no, just really quick. Why did Hillary not engage? I mean, it's an honest question. Why, given what we know now, that apparently the Hillary campaign, the DNC working for the Hillary campaign, gave millions of dollars to get information from the Russians. How are they not colluding with the Russians? I'm missing this. I'm slow to speak slowly.
There's no news that suggests they gave money to the Russians. They gave money to a British former intelligence agent who went around and collected information
and paid money from the Russians.
We don't know that yet. We don't know what he did. Now, but let me make one important point.
You don't seem that interested in finding out.
Why do we have a special counsel investigation? We have a special counsel investigation because Trump fired the FBI director Comey. He fired the FBI director Comey because he was so worried about.
I think you're missing a few steps, and here's a step. The key step you're missing is that the investigation already begun. The Justice Department began investigating the ties between the Trump campaign and
we got a special counsel investigation.
Why did they do
when Trump fired Comey? Correct.
I've been here the whole time, but the investigation was underway, and it was underway in part because of material gleaned from the Trump dossier paid for by the Hillary campaign. It's a really simple question. Well, does it bother you?
You're wrong. There were lots of reasons why the FBI started investigating.
I said in part.
Including they had surveillance.
They've said this.
They had surveillance of Trump campaign officials talking to Russians.
I got it. Does it bother you?
But that's also why they opened an investigation. They didn't just open an investigation.
You can't have a conversation with someone who's shouting. So I'm going to lower my voice. I hope you'll do the same. We know because it has been publicly reported that the head of the FBI, Jim Comey, tried to add the Trump dossier to the January intel report from the intelligence community showing that Russia interfered in our election. So this report played a pivotal role in the investigations we're now living through. And I'm asking you a simple question. Does it bother you that a campaign document, opposition research, wound up circulating through the Obama administration, through law enforcement and intelligence agencies? How the hell did that happen?
But Tucker, you're trying to argue that all roads lead back to the Steele dossier, and that's not correct. For instance, the January intelligence report that came from our CIA, our FBI, from our State Department, that was based on their review of what happened in our campaign and their review of the data and the stealing of data from the DNC.
You and the lunatic congressman we had on last night have convinced me you guys know that there's no answer to these questions, and so you're filibustering.
That's why we have a special counsel. The special counsel will find the answers, and you should support that.
This is hurting. This is really hurting. You just proved that because you're a reasonable guy, but you're acting in an unreasonable manner, which suggests that you know this is bad. It's bad, David. We're going to find out. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Jonathan Turley is a